So next up in our agenda is going to be 217 Oregon Legislature bills affecting trucking with Kevin Anderson of Anderson Yamada. Again, Kevin is a great patron of the trucking industry, and I'm sure he's going to give you a great presentation here. Here's Kevin.
Good morning. It's good to be back here. I love coming out, giving talks to people. Like Ryan said, I am an attorney. I hope you don't hold that against me. Exactly, boo. But I get to talk about something that is liked even less than lawyers. And that's the legislature. So, hey, I get to look down on some people. But I am with the law firm of Anderson and Yamada. I've practiced transportation law. Well over 90% of my practice is with motor carriers and freight brokers doing regulatory work, contract, and litigation. Whoops, wrong button apparently. Too much. All right, I'm a lawyer. You get a disclaimer, as always, okay? The main thing here is we're talking about bills that are being proposed right now. We have no idea what the law is actually going to look like when it comes out. So I can give you general idea of what we think is going to happen in some bills and how that may affect you and what you should do. But things are going to change in these bills. They go through the House, they go through the Senate, different. They have to reconcile them. They may not even pass. Who knows? We may even have, out of the blue, something happen to our governor and a new governor have to come in, and that changes the whole legislative process. We have seen that before. So just be aware, nothing that we're going to go over is set in stone. Some of these things may not even become law, but they should be on your horizon. So kind of just a general overview. This is the 79th Legislative Assembly. It's going to convene next Wednesday. They are currently working. Over 1,500 bills have already been introduced. They're expecting another 1,500 or so. That's a lot of bills. If you think I've read them or even know what all of them are, you're crazy. I don't know this. I will defer to the OTA, Oregon Trucking Associations. They were very kind to provide me with a list of bills that they are tracking and what they think are important. That list that Jana provided me was a couple hundred, if not more, bills long. I went through and pulled out what I thought was interesting, high on the priority, that you should be aware of. So we're not going to cover everything. I don't know everything, but we'll talk about some stuff. We are talking about Congress here, or the legislature, all right? They kind of do what they want, even though there was an election and elections are supposed to have consequences. They do what they want. So they're not the NSA. They don't really listen to us. They do what they want. All right, so the first one, kind of a general overview. This one, OTA has no position on. It's House Bill 2667, and it essentially establishes a task force for Vision Zero. We've seen this in a couple different things around the country, a couple different programs, but the goal is to have 0 deaths on the highway. Hey, that's a really great aspirational goal, but the only way that that's going to happen is if we don't have highways, okay? So OTA has no position on it. It's good in theory. Is it ever going to happen? No. The question is, if they pass something like this, what kind of regulations are they going to come up with to try to have this actually achieved? Got to be aware of that. But the bill itself, probably not going to do very much, but look at the regulations that come out of it. Next one, House Bill 2290. This is kind of general housekeeping. It's going to adjust the fees imposed by the DOT. If you think the fees are going to go down, I have news for you. That's probably not true. It also, looking at vehicle registration, titling, privileges, certificates, going to reorganize those. So be aware, once those come out, if they do get passed and they come out, you're going to have to be aware of that because it could affect how you're registering your vehicles. Okay, now to kind of the heart of the matter. By the way, I love this guy. If you don't know who he is, do a YouTube search. The guy is absolutely crazy, but he's on the History Channel all the time, and he thinks aliens are involved in everything. It's great. So CO2 emissions, greenhouse gases, this is really going to be the heart of the session, that long-term looking at how it's going to affect our industry. This is going to be really the heart of it, okay? So we'll start off, there are a number of bills here. Most likely not all of them will pass. They'll be merged in together, or some won't pass. It'll get changed, but this will kind of give you an idea. House Bill 2110, the Environmental Quality Commission gives them, 6 years or 5 years to adopt rules for reducing diesel emissions from medium-duty trucks, heavy-duty trucks, and non-road diesel trucks. Really looking at kind of, as always, Oregon wants to be like California. So if California does something, hey, we want to jump on board because that sounds good. So they're going to try to lower down the diesel emission standards, look to what's happening in California. That's kind of a preview of what's going to come here. Obviously, OTA opposes this. The next one, and that one's really kind of general, not one deadline, but House Bill 2138, establish and maintain a statewide inventory of non-road diesel engines. So we're talking about heavy-duty equipment, things that aren't on the road, things other than our semi-trucks. I know some of our membership in the OTA does have non-road diesel engines, but they're going to start coming after those. They want to create a database, start registering those, where now you kind of get off of that. So if you are involved in that, you need to be aware of it, because it's going to change the regulatory game for that, for the non-road diesels. All right, 2468 is a little bit more specific on greenhouse gas emissions, and that's putting in place limitations starting next year in essentially action plan for ensuring emissions do not exceed limits. What those limits are, yet to be seen. And it repeals provisions granting certain exemptions for air pollution laws. So currently there are some exemptions where they've identified certain industries, certain people that don't need to comply with this. This brings them in. One of those exemptions is, as we talked about before, kind of the off-road, the non-road diesel engines. They don't have to really follow the same rules. This will kind of start getting rid of that. Which all leads up to the big one, what they will actually be pushing for, and that is Senate Bill 0557, and this is essentially cap and trade. They want this, they've wanted it for a while, and they're going to keep pushing for it. But essentially this would be adopting goals for 2025. So we've seen a couple of bills where they're going to try to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. How that'll look on your trucks and what you need to do, who knows, but it's going to cost you a lot of money, I'll tell you that much right now. And then by 2035 and 2050, there are going to be limits. So no longer goals, but actual limits to how much emissions we can have in 2035, and then that number will be reduced by 2050. The only way to impose limits is to create a marketplace for this. This is cap and trade. So sometime between 2035 and 2035, if this is passed, they're going to come up with the limits that you can have for greenhouse gas emissions, and they're going to essentially dole those out to everybody that is emitting, and then you will be able to trade those. So either you're going to need to buy more credits where you can emit more, or you're going to have to buy new trucks that emit less to be within what you're allowed. And it also establishes a climate investments account within the state highway fund. I can guarantee you that the climate investment account is not going to be spending the money from the state highway fund in ways that we think are beneficial. They're not going to be doing infrastructure projects and actually building new highways, wider lanes where we can get trucks around the state. And obviously OTA opposes this. Let's see. Couple other things. This one is actually our first, hey, we get to support something here from the OTA. And this is an interesting one, as most of you know that there have been idling restrictions put in place in different cities, towns across the state and across the region where you're not supposed to idle for more than 5 minutes. But then the industry has come up with idle reduction systems, where you can put a system on your truck that reduces the emissions while you're idling, so you can idle for longer at the truck stop, whatnot. However, putting these systems on your truck adds weight. It cuts down on the amount of cargo that you can haul. So this bill would actually adjust your ability to be over, the 80,000 pounds. If you have an idle reduction system on your truck, it'll make up for that, which is good. This is a way that we can help the environment while not actually hurting, being deemed by the amount of weight that we can actually haul. So this is a support. We'll see if it gains traction. We'll move now. I love Ron Swanson. Whenever I get to talk about government, I always have to put something in, but this is our segue into employment law issues. There are a couple things that are going to come up, and these are really the ones when this passes, or when these types of bills pass, they usually become effective right away. They will impact your hiring, how you deal with your drivers, how you deal with your mechanics right away. So these are the ones that you really need to pay attention to, in my view. The CO2, the greenhouse gas emissions, those they will have a big effect on the industry in the long term, but they don't have the day-to-day impact that these ones do. And so the first one is great. Who here likes that we have legalized marijuana in Oregon now? No one partaking? Okay. Well, Senate Bill 0301 would say that you cannot say to your employees and have a policy that they can't use weed. You can't say that. Why? Because it's legal in this state. How could you, an employee, say you can't partake in something that's legal in this state? This is insane. The good news is this wouldn't really apply to us because of federal law. The federal safety regulations say that our employees in safety-sensitive functions cannot use marijuana. It is still a Schedule I drug on the federal level. Federal law trumps state law. So your drivers, your mechanics, those involved in safety-sensitive functions, this would not apply to. You can still say to them, you cannot smoke marijuana because federal law says that. However, what you need to be careful here for is if this does pass, you're going to essentially need a separate policy for your office workers. Your office workers are not safety-sensitive positions, which means the federal law doesn't apply to them, which means state law would. So your office support staff, since they're not working on the trucks or driving the trucks, they can smoke weed. You can't limit them, but you can for your drivers. So be aware of that. If that passes, it's going to change your policies a bit, because almost all of my clients have straight across the board, no drug policies. Yes, this includes weed. You can't use it. So be aware there. Another good one, another support one, and this is Senate Bill 0572. What this does is, what we've seen a lot is drivers coming out of the military. They've been driving around big trucks in combat zones. They have excellent experience. Yes, 5 minutes. Okay, well, yeah, we're doing fine. Okay. They come out, they have great experience, they know what they're doing. However, they don't have a CDL. And it's not as easy as simply taking your discharge papers and saying to the DMV and saying, look, I drove a truck, give me my CDL. It's not that easy. This hopefully will start the process of making that easier, because these are hardworking guys and girls. They know what they're doing. We want to hire them. This will make it easier. So hopefully this passes, because this could really help with the driver shortage. House Bill 2193, this is kind of another crazy one. It says that if you have an employee that comes into work and they're scheduled to work and they don't work at least 4 hours, you have to pay them for 4 hours. How this really works in our industry would be interesting, because some people have line haul jobs, or they come in, they're doing local deliveries. They may come in for their shift, and there may not be enough work for 4 hours. But what this is saying is, if they come in, you're going to have to pay them for 4 hours. It's kind of crazy. The other one is that it prohibits employers from retaliating against an employee who requests a preferred work schedule. It doesn't necessarily say that you have to give them the preferred work schedule, but you can't retaliate against them. So yes, they could come in every single day and ask you, oh, hey, I only want to work Monday and Tuesdays. Is that cool with you? And even though it gets really annoying, you can't retaliate against them because they get to ask that now. Next on this is House Bill 2180. This really boils down to, don't be stupid. You need to pay your employees their last wages. If you don't pay their last wages, bad things happen. That's always been the case. But what this adds is that it can create a lien on not only your real property, but also your personal property, which includes your trucks. So if you don't pay wages, they get essentially an automatic statutory lien against your trucks and equipment to get their wages. Moral of the story, if you're firing someone or terminating someone, make sure you know what they're owed and pay them that, hopefully before they walk out the door. It solves all the issues. All right. Oops, policeman. I hate when that happens, don't you? Well, they have the brilliant idea, let's get around this by let's make it legal for motorcycles and mopeds to drive in the shoulder or to drive in between trucks or in between lanes when traffic is backed up. OTA actually has quote unquote no position on this. I have no idea why they don't have a position on this, because I think that this is idiotic, especially with the first thing that we talked about. If the goal is to have zero highway traffic deaths, don't let people do stupid stuff, okay? But it's also one of those, if this does pass, you need to have your drivers aware that motorcycles are going to be doing even stupider stuff legally now than they're already doing. So we need to be aware of that and be safe. Yes, sir.
That is already passed in the state of Washington.
And in California, I believe. Yeah, so they run into it in other states, but be aware it's on the horizon here too. I don't know why you'd want to pass it. I don't know. Okay, this one establishes the Oregon Shipping Authority, and it's really tied to Terminal 6. They're going to turn over Terminal 6 from the Port of Portland to this Oregon Shipping Authority, which will have representatives from across the state. I know a lot of people do intermodal work in and out of the terminal with Hanjin and all of that. This could be an issue. We'll see if it gets kind of our port working a little bit better, but OTA does oppose this. I'm not sure of the background on that. I wasn't able to talk with Bob or Jana about it, but we'll see if it helps or hinders the port even more. And finally, I'm running out of time. We're going to touch on a couple criminal law issues that some have impact, some are just entertaining that you should be aware of. But this one changes, talking on your cell phone, illegal, can't do that. They're changing that just a bit so it's no longer a mobile communication device, but just a mobile electronic device. I guess they want to include, your tablet that doesn't make calls or texts, but you can't use that either. So it broadens out the restriction, and it increases the penalty, and the penalties for this are insane. For your first offense, it's max 1 year in prison or a $6,250 fine, and for multiple offenses, it would go up to possibly 5 years in prison or a $125,000 fine. Now, if you kill someone while talking on your cell phone, I get that, but you're going to be prosecuted under a different statute, not this. So I think that's why OTA opposes this. At least the Senate bill, they oppose because I believe the fines they're not really in line. The House bill actually has lower threshold. I think it only goes up to a $2,000 fine, and on that one, I believe OTA is kind of neutral on it. Another one, unlawful use of global positioning device. This one is interesting simply because I'm not sure how it will play out. Essentially what they don't want you to do is taking a GPS device and attaching it to somebody's vehicle and tracking them around. Now here's the thing though. We've heard a lot about ELDs. Most of those are going to have GPS on them. You own the trucks. You can do whatever you want to your own trucks. The question that I have becomes of when you have one of the removable systems where you're using like a phone or a tablet and it's your driver's phone or tablet and the GPS kind of is used through that. If they take it out of the truck and then get into their personal vehicle, would you be violating this because you could possibly have the ability to pull up the GPS data on their personal phone, which they have not consented to? So be aware, have that in the background of your mind of how that all interplays here. No driving in the far left lane, and it clarifies that certain people need to be in the right lane. $250 fine. Be aware of it. This one, I like this one. You can't drive with a dog in your lap, okay? I like it. Here's my other comment on this one. If you can drive with your dog in your lap, get a real dog, okay? So that brings me towards the end. This is kind of how I view it. Burn it all down to the ground. But luckily we have the Oregon Trucking Association who has a better perspective on this than me maybe. If you're not a member of the OTA, I highly encourage you to become a member of the OTA. They are the best voice for our industry in this state. Bob Russell does a great job of lobbying down in Salem and helping prevent some of the craziness that the people down in Salem try to come up with. And Jan is doing a fantastic job, but you should have their handouts like this out on the front desk, and I think some got passed out. But on February 22nd, they're having a trucking day at the Capitol, getting the industry down there. There are going to be trucks out there. People are going to go down there and try to educate the crazies in Salem of, hey, look, trucking is actually very, very integral to our economy. Nothing functions without trucking, and this is how you can help our industry. If you have questions about that, Christine's right over there. Say hi, Christine. There you go. You can talk to her. She will get you hooked up with Jana and how you can help out on that. So that's what I have right now. I have some time for questions, I think. I'm not sure what you'd ask me on this, but yeah.
So if the company supplies the cell phone to the driver, then isn't it company property? So the GPS portion wouldn't then apply just like a truck?
It's company property, but the question becomes with the proposed statute is that you can't have it in the car. They don't care about the GPS itself. They care about where it's going and whether they have permission. What you can do is if it is company issued, you simply have a policy saying company issued property will stay, on company property or in company truck. If it's taken home or in a personal vehicle, you are granting us permission to essentially have that knowledge. So that's fine. Okay, we have yeah.
One quick one.
Uh-oh.
The one that's going to change is that you can't prohibit marijuana use. So you can no longer have a zero tolerance company-wide?
Correct. Well, you can have a zero tolerance for what they will term illegal substances. In Oregon, weed is not an illegal substance anymore, so you couldn't say that. You can still have a zero tolerance policy while on duty or on company property, but you can't say you can't partake in marijuana on your own time.
But you could have a fit for duty for all employees.
A what?
Fit for duty, in other words,
Yes.
they cannot be working while under the influence of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Correct. We're still under federal. So even if that passes, your drivers, your mechanics, your safety sensitive functions, no, it doesn't fly. It doesn't fly. Yes, sir.
I guess I'm just curious of that growth in the city of Portland is supposed to grow by 200,000 residents in less than 10 years, and they want to introduce these greenhouse gas standards.
Yeah.
And
Don't worry, we'll haul it on the bike lanes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's cool. Don't worry. It's solved. Blumenauer will get it. Yeah. Okay. I have a couple more minutes. So since these are all prospective, I want to touch on two bills that have passed in the past 2 years to make sure that you're all up on these, simply because these do affect your company right now, and you need to make sure that you are abiding by the law. How many of you know what ban the box is? All right, some people don't. How many people hire employees? How many of you, when you're hiring employees on your application, ask, have you ever been convicted of a crime? No? Okay, good.
Good job.
Good job, I thought. Excellent. Because you cannot do that anymore. You can do it once you've had a conditional offer of employment and jump through some other hoops. Oregon says once you've made a conditional offer of employment, you can ask them if they've been convicted of a crime and then make your ultimate decision. Portland actually goes a step further and says that if they have been convicted of a crime, you have to have a rational connection between why their conviction for the crime and you not offering them a job are connected. So be aware of that. I have run into a client who's still asking, have you been convicted of a crime? You can't do that. The exception to that would be is if you're doing household goods. Once again, federal law comes into play. You can't have the thieves going in and doing household goods, okay? So that's good. The other one is, has everybody gotten up to date on their paid sick leave act? Is everybody giving their employees paid sick leave? Hey, I'm just the messenger, okay? I didn't make the law. I'm just making sure y'all are compliant, okay? Sore subject, because, and that's very important, because while it has been in play for the past year, as of January 1st, they're actually going to start, quote unquote, enforcement. Okay, so if you aren't doing it right, now you can actually get bit by bully if you're not doing it. So if you don't know what paid sick leave is and you're not offering your employees some sort of paid time off, you need to get caught up on that so you don't get bit. Yes?
Speaking of bullying, on lunch or rest breaks for drivers, they're telling us that the drivers have to take their meal break for the bully under the 5.5 to 6 hour. They don't acknowledge the federal standards. Do you encounter any other trucking companies?
Yes, it's one of those, you're going to have to abide by the more stringent rule there. I don't think that the federal rule will necessarily preempt that. So if they're saying, because what the federals, you have to take it within your first 8 hours, is that, yeah. So if they're saying you have to take it sooner, are they actually dinging you for this?
$1,000 per.
That's insane. Okay, yeah, I love the government. Okay, I would do it. I haven't seen any. Yeah, I wouldn't. It may screw up because they may have to take another one. Then, it gets hard if they're running up on the full 14 hours. Then, so.
Well, the issue is that some of the states are different.
Oh yeah.
So you go to Washington or you operate in Idaho or
yeah.
California. There's different time zones.
Yes, and see, this is one of those where federal law really should preempt it, because it is going interstate. It is going to affect your routes, services, and rates, and that's what there's a federal preemption law that says if it affects your routes, services, and rates, the state law can't apply. And this clearly would do that. So,
If they're based in Oregon, they have to follow it no matter what.
yeah, but it will take a challenge to the law. So if you want to pay for it, hey.
See Kevin.
Yeah, come see me. I got time on my hands. So.
Okay, let's give it a hand.